The Galactic Council had made their decision with the cold efficiency that had governed interstellar politics for 3 millennia. Ambassador Zethkar of the Hegemony clicked his mandibles as he delivered the verdict to the handful of human delegates huddled in the observation gallery. The species designation human is hereby classified as irrelevant to galactic affairs, his translator rendered in flat, emotionless tones. Your territorial claims are dissolved, your trade agreements are voided, your diplomatic immunity is revoked. Captain Sarah Chen felt her jaw clench as murmurs of agreement rippled through the assembled representatives of 47 species. The Vorthan Empire's crystalline delegates chimed their approval. The gas giant-dwelling Nephilim pulsed their bioluminescent agreement. Even humanity's former allies, the tree-like Sylvani, remained silent. On what grounds? Chen demanded, rising from her seat. Zethkar's compound eyes fixed on her with something approaching pity. Your species has contributed nothing of value in the 2 centuries since first contact. No significant technological advancement, no strategic resources, no unique capabilities. You are, in essence, galactic deadweight. The words stung because they carried a grain of truth. Humanity had indeed struggled to find its place among the stars. Their technology lagged behind most spacefaring civilizations. Their worlds were considered backwater colonies. Their military was laughably small compared to the great powers. What the Council didn't know, what no one knew, was that humanity had prepared for this day long before they'd ever met another intelligent species. 300 years earlier, when Earth's nations still warred among themselves, a secret coalition of scientists and military strategists had initiated Project Lazarus. They'd foreseen a future where humanity might face extinction, whether from nuclear war, climate change, or threats yet unknown. Their solution was as elegant as it was audacious. Preserve Earth's greatest minds and warriors in stasis, hidden away in the darkness between stars, waiting for the day they might be needed. The activation signal had been hard-coded into every human ship, every human colony, every human diplomatic vessel. It was designed to trigger automatically if humanity ever faced existential threat. The Council's declaration qualified. Admiral Marcus Kane had been in stasis for 287 years when the revival sequence began. He'd volunteered for Lazarus as a young Navy captain, fresh from the resource wars that had nearly torn Earth apart. He'd gone to sleep in 2157 expecting to wake up to fight climate refugees and corporate armies. Instead, he woke up to find humanity scattered across a dozen worlds, considered irrelevant by an entire galaxy. The first thing Kane did was review the situation reports flooding into his consciousness as his neural implants came online. Humanity's current fleet, barely 300 ships, mostly civilian transports and mining vessels. Their military capabilities, essentially non-existent by galactic standards. The second thing he did was smile. Kane's ship, the UES Prometheus, had been drifting in the void beyond Pluto's orbit for nearly 3 centuries. It wasn't alone. Surrounding it in careful formation were 999 other vessels, dreadnoughts that made modern battleships look like toys, carriers packed with fighters that defied contemporary physics, research vessels containing technologies that most species could only dream of. The Lazarus fleet represented the pinnacle of human engineering from an era when survival depended on being better, faster, and more ruthless than the competition. Every weapon system was designed to fight outnumbered. Every tactical doctrine assumed the enemy had superior numbers and technology. Every crew member had been selected from the finest military minds Earth had ever produced. They'd been built in secret, launched in secret, and hidden in the deep black where no one would think to look. Even the modern human government had no knowledge of their existence. Kane's first transmission was brief. All ships, this is Admiral Kane. Lazarus Protocol is in effect. Begin immediate tactical assessment of current galactic political structure. The response was instantaneous. 1,000 ships began moving for the first time in centuries, their crews awakening from stasis with the fluid precision of a military machine that had trained for this exact scenario. Dr. Elena Vasquez, the fleet's chief xenobiologist, had spent her final years before stasis studying theoretical alien contact scenarios. She'd never imagined waking up to find 47 different species had relegated humanity to irrelevance. Admiral, she reported from the research vessel Darwin. Preliminary analysis suggests most galactic species rely heavily on energy-based weapons and standardized shield harmonics. Our kinetic systems should be largely unexpected. Kane nodded, studying the tactical displays that were rapidly filling with data. The galaxy had grown comfortable in its rigid hierarchy. The great powers maintained their positions through overwhelming force and technological superiority. Smaller species like humanity were expected to know their place. What they'd never encountered was a species that had spent centuries preparing to fight from a position of absolute disadvantage. The Lazarus fleet's first target was a hegemony, patrol squadron that had been dispatched to escort human vessels out of disputed space. 6 modern cruisers against a single human ship, what the hegemony considered overwhelming odds. They never saw the Prometheus coming. Kane's ship emerged, from hyperspace already firing, its magnetic accelerator cannons hurling tungsten slugs at relativistic speeds. The hegemony shields designed to deflect energy weapons might as well have been tissue paper. 3 cruisers simply ceased to exist in the first salvo. The remaining ships tried to flee, broadcasting desperate warnings about unknown human capabilities. None of them escaped the cloud of autonomous interceptors that the Prometheus had deployed the moment it dropped from hyperspace. Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out as the Lazarus fleet revealed itself. A Vorthon mining operation found itself facing ships that seemed to violate known physics. A Nephilim diplomatic convoy discovered that their energy dampening fields were useless against projectile weapons traveling at significant fractions of light speed. But Kane wasn't interested in conquest. He was interested in making a point. The message he transmitted to the Galactic Council was simple. Humanity respectfully requests a revision to our diplomatic status. We have new information that may be relevant to your recent decision. Ambassador Zethkar was no longer clicking his mandibles in satisfaction when the emergency session convened. The holographic displays showed the wreckage of 24 ships from various species, all destroyed by forces unknown. The only commonality was proximity to human space. "What is the meaning of this?" he demanded. Captain Chen, still representing humanity but now flanked by Admiral Kane's holographic presence, allowed herself a small smile. "The meaning, Ambassador, is that you made your assessment based on incomplete data. You evaluated humanity's current capabilities, not our potential." Kane's image stepped forward. "For 3 centuries, we've been preparing for the day someone might threaten our species' survival. Today, you made it clear that our peaceful integration into galactic society has failed. So we're prepared to discuss alternative arrangements." The silence in the chamber was deafening. "What do you want?" Zethkar finally asked. "Recognition," Kane replied simply. "Respect. And a new understanding that irrelevant is not a word that applies to any species willing to fight for its right to exist." The vote to restore humanity's diplomatic status was unanimous, but as the delegates filed out of the chamber, many were already wondering what other surprises the galaxy's irrelevant species might be hiding in the dark between the stars. After all, if humans had learned anything from their violent history, it was that being underestimated was often the greatest advantage of all.